So hi everyone and welcome to the next Honest Recruiter podcast. Now this time we are in lockdown. So this is our lockdown edition. So we're on about week 8 in the UK of our lockdown and the date is the 20th of May 2020. And today I am pleased to be joined by our fearless leader, Mr. David Stone. So today's a bit different. So the last time you were on, David, the podcast was all about you. It was Meet David Stone, the CEO, and it was kind of like a day in the life of. Yep, it was fantastic. So for this podcast, we want to do it. It's going to be pretty raw. You've not seen all the questions. You don't know what I'm going to ask. So I didn't want to give you too much.
No, you can't have a pay rise. Anything else?
No, that was it. Okay, end of podcast. So obviously we're in lockdown and we've been doing it for 8 weeks now. And we know there's a lot of other recruitment companies locally that are also going through a turbulent time. So I guess straight off the bat, really, and I think it's the question on everyone's lips, how is lockdown treating people at MRL?
Okay, so bit of a culture shock for us because, as you know, we never had a work from home policy in the past. Admittedly, I'm a bit of a dinosaur, and I used to say to people, I think working from home is a misnomer, that you're basically watching Jeremy Kyle and scrolling your phone every now and then. And then we had this forced upon us. Fortunately, we had seen it coming, so we had a working strategy day where we got the whole team in and we said, okay, if the country goes into lockdown, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? What do we need? What are the rhythms and the mechanisms and all the rest of it? And so that was really fortuitous timing. And thank you, Kelly Robertson, for making me do that. We did that. Within a couple of days, we were on lockdown. So for the first time in company history, we had all 60 plus staff working from home. And it has gone surprisingly well, I suppose is what I'd say. Better than anticipated. Yes, it took a couple of weeks for people to find their new rhythms and to work out some of the little glitches and headaches that were arising. But by and large, genuinely, I'd say it's gone a damn sight better than I ever anticipated that it probably would. Yeah.
Obviously, on the podcast you did before, you were quite open. We spoke about the kind of the double dip recession and kind of how you cope with that. Were you thinking very similar to this when the lockdown first happened? Were the thoughts similar of what you kind of do?
Yeah. And again, being 8 weeks into this situation now, I would say that we as a company are doing a damn sight better than I ever possibly anticipated coming into it. I was very nervous coming into it. And I thought, Christ, what are we up against? What are we coming into? And yeah, we grafted through 2 recessions. And so I suppose in my mind, my mindset was to approach it as though you're going into another catastrophic Lehman Brothers type scenario. And so I adjusted my mindset early on for that. But actually, in real terms, it's been nowhere near as bad as what it was in 2008 thus far for us as a company. And I think the teams are doing very, very well. The sales are holding up. And in some respects, some of the desks, it's like nothing's ever happened. It's bizarre. I keep pinching myself. And you're like, well, we must be missing something obvious. How the hell can these teams be doing so well at the moment when we're meant to be in meltdown? But they are. And yeah, we've got good people. And it's so, all in all, it's going a damn sight better than I thought it would.
Like you said, we've never had a work from home policy. Obviously, we have flexi work and we don't work on Fridays, which is great. But how was it hard for the, okay, so I'm talking because I'm obviously part of the team, but for the other guys, did you think it was difficult for them to change from being in a bustling office with 50 people to then being literally at home with their computers going, I've got to do it on my own now?
Yeah, I think that has been quite challenging, but equally, a lot of people have stepped up very, very quickly. And like I say, it took a couple of weeks for the rhythms to get into place. So you've got your daily Zoom meetings and your team meetings, and we're trying to keep it as real life natural as possible. But of course, it's never going to be. A Zoom meeting is never going to be the same as having a huddle on the sales floor. Yeah, but it's as good as we can get. And we've got people with good mental attitudes here. So rather than just sitting around feeling sorry for themselves and moping, they've got quite a workmanlike attitude. It's like, okay, we didn't ask for this. Get on with it and make the best of it, which is the right attitude in the current environment. Yeah.
So we know lots of recruitment companies locally, not just locally, but just all over the UK have either cut people straight off the bat, 10, 15 people, just put everyone apart from their top 3 performing salespeople on furlough. I think it's been quite a big discussion point, especially within the marketing community that I'm in, how we've only furloughed 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
Was there kind of a reason why you didn't go into it straight away and go, right, we need to look at only the top performers and then furlough other people? Or
No. Okay, so you're coming into any period of turbulence, and these are the lessons we've learned in the past. Okay, there are only 2 things you can do, and this might be the topic for another podcast some other time. But there are 2 things you can do, right? You can cut costs and you can boost sales. Now, in the current environment, you might not be talking boosting sales. You might be talking about maintaining sales. Well, that's the same thing. The other thing you can do is cut costs, and the main cost-cutting exercise you can do in a recruitment company is headcount. Okay.
yeah,
I came into this with a mission to protect headcount pretty much at all costs. Okay, that's the last thing I'm going to do is attack the headcount of the business, the actual fabric of the business. And I know with some other firms they've been wasting headcount, which is a crying shame, really. But I would say, looking across the company, we don't have weaklings. We don't have people who shouldn't be here. Because I've been speaking to some other recruitment company owners, and they're saying, "Oh, get rid of your weaklings, get rid of your underperformers." And I was sort of loosely thinking, why have you got them there in the first place? Why are they already? What were you doing? Carrying them in the hope they might one day become good at their job? And so I'd say of our team, we've got a flipping good quality team. And so I don't want to decrease headcount. That is protect that at all costs is my mission. And I was absolutely, genuinely gutted and devastated to have to furlough 3 people. I didn't want to. It was a horrible conversation to have. It did feel like you're firing them or parking them in a way. You're basically saying, I'm surplus to requirements. Sorry about that. Fortunately, we got one of them back quite quickly. And she was very gracious about being put on furlough, and she's come back very, very happy and enthused to do a good day's work. And we're trying to get the other people back in as well, as quickly as we possibly can. And that's one of the primary things on my mind every single day is, what can I do to get these folk back at work? I don't like having my people off on furlough. I don't want them off on furlough.
no. I guess as well, also, it's no secret that, you know, we're very open and about publicising when we get new starters. And so literally before lockdown, we had 5 new people start on the team. So I guess from their side, they're obviously still being trained. They're some of them are rookies straight in off the bat. So I think it's good to see that we're training them, and it's great to be an employer of a company where we're actually still showing that value to people, even though we aren't in the same office.
So it was 5 joiners in about the 3 or 4 weeks, I think it was, before lockdown. Now, saying they're not total rookies, they did have recruitment experience, not necessarily of the areas of tech that we're in, but they knew the nuts and bolts of recruitment and how to do recruitment. So it was more a case of teaching them markets and tech and the areas that we actually operate in. And yeah, that again, it's been a learning exercise. How do you mentor, coach, train remotely? And we're looking at all the different ways of doing it, whether you just have a Zoom channel open or whether you're doing regular one-on-one catch-ups or meetings and all the different things in between. Yeah. And to be fair, I did think maybe we should just have an open Zoom channel next to people all day long. But a few people did say to me that would be a bit weird and a bit Big Brother-like, and they wouldn't be very comfortable with that. So we stepped back from doing that as an option. But there's a lot of communication going on, and whether it's video communication or phone communication or email communication, no one is left abandoned anywhere, and they're all getting a lot of hands-on support from their colleagues and their line managers every day. Yeah.
Is there anything you can take positive from this exercise, not the exercise, from this pandemic?
Most positive thing, I guess, will be coming out of it. We will have a proper grown-up, shiny work from home policy, which I'm working through the nuts and bolts of with our ops director at the moment. I think it'll be ridiculous, it'll be ludicrous to come out of this and say you can't work from home when good people have demonstrated they can very capably work from home. And so we're going to have to come up with a proper grown-up work from home policy, which people can then take advantage of. Personally, I won't. I don't want to work from home, and I like being in my office, but that's me. Other people will get the benefit. So we're going to come up with, like I say, a proper grown-up policy that will be implemented when we do return. So that's going to be hopefully a bit of a work-life balance life changer for some people, because in the past, if anyone had ever come to me and said, "Hey Dave, can I work from home?" I was like, "No, we don't do that. Come on, get in the office." Yeah?
Why is that? Why have you had that? Is it just of years of you not wanting to work from home?
Because I is a dinosaur, and because I've been doing this job about 25 years in an office surrounded by young, eager recruiters, and I think that's how it works. No, and that does work for me, and I love having the people around in the office. I really miss having the people in the office. But I'm bright enough to realise that that is not always going to be the best case answer, and that things do flex and adapt and change, and that we as a company have to flex and adapt and change. Yeah. And so I can see this is going to be really interesting going forward with a proper grown-up work from home policy. Does it apply to all people? Is it a come at will, or is it a few days a week? How we're going to work out the structure on all of that. And it might even extend up to having remote workers. Could I hire somebody in Scotland? Could I hire somebody in Ireland who's working for us on a work from home basis and comes to the office maybe once a month? That's going to open up really interesting areas of future company development. And one of the other projects I'm going to be looking at closely is, because this is one of my fears going forward, how do you bring on rookies, like absolute greenhorn rookies in recruitment in a remote capacity? And I'm struggling to see how that will work. But I'm not discounting it. I'm not discounting it at all. I'm just looking at it closely to see if it could work. If this thing goes on for flipping months and months and months, how would we do that in the future if we want to bring on proper rookies? Because what you realise is so much of their learning is done on the sales floor, not in the classroom. And it's listening to good people on the sales floor and having other good people around them who are able to help them with calls on the spot, on the fly. And you don't obviously get that if you're working in your kitchen at home. So that's just an area of future development. But regarding experienced recruiters who can work from home, that's been proven nicely. And that will open up both for our current staff who can take advantage of that in the future. But like I say, do we want to hire, if we find a really, really good tech recruiter in Southern Ireland or Scotland, and we might think, okay, in the past I probably
it can be done, yeah.
Whereas now we can probably get in place the model to make that work. Yeah.
I guess as well, it's a lot of, like you said, everyone's going to have to adapt to this, because if you don't, then you're very quickly going to lose staff because they're capable to work from home. I guess the differentiator is, what other benefits have you got on top of that work? Because a lot of companies will go, well, you can work from home. So that's a benefit. But now we know everyone will do that. So I think for us, we know that we have a hell of a lot of benefits on top of a work from home policy, which will make it much more attractive.
Yeah, of course. It's going to be the whole package. But also, the sense I'm getting from speaking to people is nobody I've spoken to yet wants to be at home full time.
Yeah.
They all are saying roughly the same thing. Yeah, 1 or 2 days a week, 1 or 2 days on occasion, every now and then. Nobody yet has said to me anywhere in any of our offices, great, I want to be at home full time. Because I think people really do enjoy the camaraderie, the bands, the fun that goes on in an office, when you get the buzz, when there's a real tangible hum on the sales floor. And that's very hard to replace when you're working at home. But fine, if you're on a big research project and you want a couple of days worth of headspace and you're going to do it at home in peace and quiet, cool, that works. But I don't think many people are going to want to do that full time.
I think it's a culture more than anything. When we do have and culture does make a business, we all know that. And I think because it is, when the office is full and everyone's on the phone and the bell's ringing, that's such a buzz going on. I think that's what everyone's missed that.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm speaking to a lot of the guys on a daily basis, and they're all saying the same thing. And it's funny, one of the things that people are missing more than anything is just the office bands, the quick-witted, quick-fire humour that you see flashing across the sales floor. And I must admit, I'm missing that. And it's not the same in a Zoom meeting, yeah. And we've got some of our people could probably be professional comedians if they wanted to be. They're so funny, and that makes the office a fun place to be. And I think a lot of people are missing that, apart from the motivation and the buzz of a sales team getting on it together.
A lot of companies, so you see online all the time these recruitment people that are just one-man bands, or they just work from home all the time. For some people that works, but I think the majority of people at MRL want that team environment.
Yeah.
They enjoy.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you can be a one-man band working from home all alone. There'll be some people that will suit. Most people, probably not. And anyway, the people we've hired in the past have been hired into quite a buzzy office culture. So
Yeah.
that's the environment they've been brought into, trained in. We've got people who've been here many, many years. So to them, it's a bit of a shock to be at home alone. And I don't think many of them are going to want to be at home alone that much longer, and certainly not forever.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm scratching the walls to get back into the office. So.
Yeah, but you're a really social creature. You're gregarious and very social. And you take some of the other people in this office, they're exactly the same. They're going nuts at home.
Yeah.
You know, it was all quite interesting at first and quite novel at first. And now it's like, oh, for God's sake, just let me go back to work, please.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of people, I think, in that situation. And I imagine rolling forward, we'll end up with something where most people are in most of the time, and every now and then people are having a day or two at home. Yeah.
What do you think will happen if let's say this happens and there is no cure for it soon, and it's kind of, this could just be something we live with, where there's got to be a lockdown that happens, or like a second wave hits again? Do you think we're in a position where, yeah, we know we can do it, we've done it for 8 weeks, if it happens again, we know that actually we'll just do the same thing, and then as soon as it goes back to normal, we'll be ready to crack on again?
Well, yeah, exactly. We've got to follow government guidelines and advice. We're not going to breach any of that. And if a second wave were to come, how do we face it? Well, we face it like we faced the first one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chin out. Oh, no. Chest out. Chin up. Chin up. Chest out. Yeah. Chin up. Chest out. No grumbling, no moaning, get on with it. Yeah, moaning and grumbling never solved anything. Go and get on with it and do your best. That's all we ever say to people, isn't it? Do your best,
Yeah.
right? And that's how they've approached this current situation. And I'm sure that's how they would approach it. And yes, there'd be a lot of frustration, but equally none of us asked for this situation. So there's little to be gained from sitting around wringing your hands and moaning about it. And however long this thing may go on into the future, absolutely, God knows. Nobody's got a clue about that. So all we can do is roll accordingly and play accordingly to what we're dealt on a daily basis.
I asked some people some questions, and one that come up to ask you was, obviously the 4-day week is brilliant. Everyone loves it. We know some companies that have gone, right, we need to go back to a 5-day week because of what's happening. What made you not go, right, let's put them back onto coming on Fridays until this will help out?
That would be a punishment. That would be a distinct punishment at a time when you shouldn't be punishing good people. We've got the 4-day rhythm working. We've proven over the last 12 months that it can work, and it can work very successfully. And it would be, to me, pretty ludicrous to now take it away. When you're saying to people, can you throw your life up in the air and totally adjust and start working from home at the kitchen table, please? Oh, and by the way, do another day as well, please, mate. That would just be bonkers to me. Really, really counterintuitive and the wrong way around. We got good people. They've proven it can work. Please continue as you were before. Yeah. And yeah, all right, let's be totally honest. Some of the folk probably are doing a bit on the Friday, if nothing else, because they're bored witless at home, not being allowed to go out and do anything. Fine, they're not being asked to, and if they choose to do that, then credit to them. But I wouldn't want to come down with a mandate now saying we're all back in 5. I don't see any benefit. We've proven the validity of the 4-day week concept for the right reasons, yeah? And our people have risen to it and proven it works, so why take it away from them?
I guess we also know that the steps that you've taken, like, I think it's very clear to point out that you are about the staff at MRL. Like, even just you talking now about it, you're very much like, it's keeping the staff, the headcount's important, when actually some recruitment owners, they want less staff, but with the same output. So companies that have just cut loads of people and furloughed them, I don't want you to badmouth anyone, but what just is your overall opinion on that in the market in general?
Yeah, I don't want to unfairly or unnecessarily criticize anyone. I don't know their situations. I don't know their cash flow. I don't know their balance sheets. I did feel going into this, when I heard of some of the local firms wasting headcount, literally wasting 50% of their headcount on the first day. My feeling was that was a knee-jerk reaction. Yeah. But I came in that Monday, Black Monday as it was, and I was really nervous. I didn't know what the hell we were going to be facing. But I drove in thinking, well, we'll play it through day by day by day. And by the end of the week, you thought, okay, I know what I'm up against now. Yeah. And I'm bloody glad I didn't come in and start wasting headcount, all those 5 new joiners, and toasted them on that first Monday, because that would have been wrong and unfair and unkind and stupid, basically. Yeah. So I think there was some knee-jerk panic reactions, and maybe this is where, all right, I keep taking the mickey out of myself because I'm an older guy, but I've grafted through 2 flipping tough recessions and got the battle scars, and I think in my headspace, I've got a good idea of how to approach it and what to do and what not to do. Yeah. And probably if you went back to one of the previous recessions, maybe we did panic a little bit then, and you learn your lessons the hard way.
Of course you do, yeah.
And the management team around me, my ops director, Kelly, she's been here, what, 20, 21 years? She's been through both recessions with me. The FD's been through both recessions with me. So we've got good people who know what to do when there's a firefight.
Yeah. It's juggling, isn't it? I think you can't, it's kind of, it's balancing and juggling to go, right, we need to balance everything so everyone is calm, because you don't want panic in the office. But then you kind of need to juggle the priorities from, I guess, from a client side, then from a candidate side, but then from our internal as well. So
but recruitment is juggling. Recruitment is spinning plates, isn't it?
Exactly,
And the more plates you can keep spinning, the better recruiter you are. And we've got some bloody good recruiters in the company, so they're used to spinning lots of plates. And it's just adapting.
Yeah, no, completely. I think one thing as well is very apparent with us versus other companies that you see. Right now, cost on anything is being slashed, be it marketing, be it equipment, be it projects being rolled out. And I think it's safe to say we haven't done that. So we're rolling out a new CRM, which is going to be great for us. We're looking at the productization of what we offer to clients will be live by the time this goes out. We're rolling out kind of laptops for people, where some companies will be going, that's investment which we've got to hold back. Why have you decided to do that now versus waiting?
Because we're in a good place. We were coming into it in a good place. We are in a good place. And thus far, touch wood, blah, 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 sales are maintaining. Yeah. We are pretty much there or thereabouts against our targets as we would have been no pandemic, no lockdown. And this is what I say, I keep pinching myself. It's almost like, am I missing something? Hove, last month, Hove had its biggest ever month in 22 years trading or something.
Oh, wow.
And you get to the end of the month and you're thinking, well, Jesus, I thought we were meant to be in panic mode at the moment. But these guys have just booked their biggest ever sales month in 22 years trading. Yeah. Now, sure, the French office is having a tough time right now. We're supporting them as much as we can. We're trying to get some activity and work for them to help them out of a tough place. The French economy itself is in a tough place. But we as a company, I think, are in a good place, come into it in a good place. And if the investment decision was to change CRM, well, that still stands. So we're changing CRM, And it's, when I talk about being on cost control, what I really start to look at there, because cost control to me is totally different to cost cutting. Cost control is being very, very clear between your nice to haves and your must haves, right? Now, your must haves are your things like your salaries and your rent bill and whatever else, the things you really do need to pay every month. And then you've got your nice to haves. And some of those have gone by the wayside. But weirdly, this pandemic, this whole situation fell timing wise almost perfect for us in terms of we had some contract renewals, which fell in March. So we were able to look at them much more carefully and maybe not buy quite as many new licenses as we might have done, etc. on some of the software tools. This time last year, we were in Barcelona having a hell of a kickoff party at the W Hotel, which cost best part of about £100,000. Obviously, we're not doing that this year. So that's 100 grand, which would have been in the budget, which is actually back in the till. So there have been some things like that, and that was just purely timing. That was fortunate timing in that respect, which meant from a cost point of view, we're quite well positioned,
And also the way you've looked after us in this. So like you mentioned about the kickoff, this year, the people that were top billers, they had champagne delivered at their door in their home. Like Lucas lives in Eastbourne. He had knock at the door and champagne at his door. No one knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
We got boxes of chocolates and cakes and pastries delivered to everyone. It's the little things that count.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what makes it all different, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what hopefully makes the company a nice place to work, and it is the little things. I'm a sucker for the little things. The little things make me so happy, actually.
Go on.
No, I was going to say, one of the ladies, who I furloughed and we managed to bring back quite quickly, which I was really pleased. Hopefully this won't embarrass her too much. She sent me a little thank you box, which arrived this week. And it was a box of old-fashioned sweet shop sweets. And I was so chuffed. I was so touched. It was such a beautiful thing. And you've got like fizzy cola bottles and sherbet saucer things and all that. Yeah, what are they called? Space discs or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Flying saucers.
Yeah, those things. And it was so sweet. I was so touched by that. And that's the sort of environment, which is why I love it here. This is the environment I love. You've got good people. Yeah.
So when it comes to hiring, then that's going to be the one on everyone's lips. Since the 4-day week, we get it. We get in multiple applications every month come through. That hasn't stopped. Like we still get in. I see them. They're coming through all the time. What do you think your mindset has changed in terms of the type of person you want at MRL before lockdown to now? So people with like their ambitions are slightly different. Because I think during this 8 weeks, a lot of people, they've taken the time to probably reflect a little bit. So I think there's going to be I'm predicting there'll be even more of an increase when people go back to normal. Because like you said, companies, they might not do the work from home policy. They might just be, actually, it's going to be exactly the same. So people's going, no, I'm out of here. So do you think differently about that in terms of the type of profile you want?
No, I don't think my overall profile is going to change very much. The actual sort of people we hire who tend to be very successful here, I don't think that's going to change very much at all. In fact, and we are currently at second final stage interviews with some people from some local firms who have opportunistically got in touch with us because their current employer, shall we say, hasn't been particularly kind or nice in this current situation. And so I've just opportunistically picked up the ball and said, yeah, well, great. Let's have a whole bunch of Zoom interviews and see how far we can get this before we can actually meet you for a coffee. And we've got 3 processes at final stage now for that, which is quite exciting. The area where I'm struggling, it's like I said earlier, it's the rookies. When I get a good quality rookie CV on my desk, and in the past I would have said, yeah, let's get them in, let's talk to them, let's see if we've got a job or a trainee account manager job going somewhere. Now I can't do that because I don't have a model in place. Normally, in normal times, I can show a rookie a beautiful training program and a beautiful vision of how their life in recruitment is going to be. Whereas right now I can't do that for a rookie, which is a shame. Because it does mean in a couple of years' time, there's going to be a real gap in the market of people with 2 years' experience. And in 3 years' time, there'll be a gap of people with 3 years' experience. That's going to roll on through the market, which is what happened after the Lehman recession as well, to be fair. But regarding the actual profile of skilled and experienced recruiters, I don't think it's going to change at all. If I was talking about this mythical, theoretical somebody in Scotland or Ireland working remotely, yeah, okay, that would be a different profile. I'd still want the same culture fit, but that would be a different profile about working from home in Dublin remotely successfully. Yeah.
But I guess obviously with the academy, that can still run when this finishes. I guess if we want to do if there's a more work from home policy put in place, I guess that changes slightly when it comes to. But then would rookies want to work remotely to start with anyway? Probably not.
No, and I think that's one of the bits of small print I've got to get into. At what point would the work from home kick in? And it probably wouldn't within probation. It probably wouldn't whilst you're on your basic training. No. It would come in at some set criteria. And that's the stuff I'm working through with the management team at the moment about what will that criteria look like. And it'll be there. We'll have that finished very soon, actually.
Yeah. And obviously the work from the cycle to work scheme, obviously we're bringing in full swing, which is something we never really had before either.
You know, My bad. I thought we did, and no one ever used it.
Oh
Um,
no.
honestly, I thought, because we used to have one. In the old days, we had one, and no one ever used it. And I thought it was still running in the background somewhere, and just people weren't interested. And then when someone pointed out we didn't seem to have one, I was slightly embarrassed. But no, yeah, we found a cool one actually, and you can get these really fancy multi-thousand-pound electric bikes and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it looks like a really neat deal actually, really good. Yeah.
And it's changed people's mindset with that, I think, because people who live locally are now just like, well, yeah, I'll get a £3,000 bike and I'll just cycle
Yeah.
to work every day.
And especially if you're, we've been told to stay off public transport, and if you don't live a ridiculously long way away, and you can get a nice bike in, and Brighton's full of hills, so an electric bike might be a good idea for some of us. Then then it's a nice thing to be able to offer people. Definitely, I think it's quite cool. Yeah.
So as we can see, you are sat in the office. It's no secret that, like you said, you have been going into the office every day alone, very alone. You must be bored. What do you miss most about everyone in the office?
Office bants,
Yeah.
the fun of a naughty bunch of recruiters.
Yeah.
It is. There is a lot of noise and energy and vibrancy on the sales floor on a daily basis usually, and you miss that. You do miss that, yeah. And they're cracking bunch of people. I miss them, and I genuinely do miss the people. But yes, all right. So I'm treating this as an extension of my front lounge, and I've just got a massive, great 5,000 square foot bit of space to toddle around on my own. But yeah, this is better for me, from my mental health. This is better for me than being at home with wife and kids and all the kids homeschooling and a dodgy, crappy village Wi-Fi connection. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this has kept my sanity quite nicely, selfishly. But I miss having the people, and I miss the conversations, the bands, the fun, the uplift, the vibrancy, the motivation of people. Yeah. And can't wait to have the people back together. It's gonna be a lot of fun, I think.
So obviously everyone knows, obviously you mentioned it about Barcelona, and obviously this year we've not done anything. So I know we've got some ideas about when you're allowed to be more than 2 meters than each other. We want to have some kind of big MRL soiree at some point.
Yes, we've got some plans afoot, and also for whatever we're going to do for this year's Christmas party, we've got some interesting plans afoot on that as well. But that does depend on people being allowed to fly and stuff again, because I do fancy doing something quite special, all being well and good, and us being allowed to, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Well, David, I think that probably covers today's podcast. Unless you've got any questions for me. I work at MRL. I'm your sole marketing. Well, not anymore, because now Hattie, who was on our operations team, is now in our marketing. What questions have you got for me?
How is it going having a marketing colleague remotely and working closely with her? How's that all going?
It's tough. It's difficult because you don't want to micromanage someone. So you don't want to be ringing them every hour and seeing what they're doing. I guess as well, Hattie's very new. So a lot of my role is training and development with Hattie, and kind of bringing her up to scratch and teaching her the fundamentals of email marketing or content, or how we speak to candidates versus clients. So it's been good. We're doing video calls every morning at 9 o'clock, and then in the evening we're catching up. But no, she's doing great. I think I feel for someone like Harley, who manages a big team in the office, where he's
doing really well. He's doing really, really well, and he's adapted to it, because he's full on at the moment. He's got a big team of people. Yeah, so he's doing really well.
But yeah, no, I think everyone, like you said, I think at the start it was a bit exciting. It was a bit of the unknown, and you were kind of 2 weeks into lockdown. It's a bit like, oh, this is weird. I don't like this. The whole adaptation piece was hard. But now, like you said, you have to do it. And the biggest thing is it's people in the office. Me and Hattie were saying it the other week. You miss just actual seeing somebody physically. It's me and my wife at home. We've not got kids, so it's just us two. So when we go for a walk, I'd love it when an old man would stop and talk. Yeah, like, oh my God, a real person. Yeah, so there's a little bit of that, and I think a few people will probably echo that as well. But it will be nice when we get in the office and kind of see everyone properly and just be back to normal working.
Yeah.
I don't think we will be back to normal for quite a while, but we've adapted. Like, we know the office is now laid out in a way where we can come back to work when we need to. What have you done in the office? Because obviously we've got a big office and we're all quite close together, but there's room for everyone to spread out, isn't there?
Yeah, we've worked. We were working on that yesterday, and we've got tape all over the place now. 2 meter distances. We've identified and marked up all the desks where people could sit and still be a good 2 meters or plus away from anybody else. We've worked out a one-way system for getting to the toilets and kitchen, and it's actually, we can have almost the entire complement back in and adhere to all current legislation and rules about social distancing. I can't see it. We're not going to be forcing people back, and we'll take our government guidelines as to when people want to come back and they're allowed to come back. But it's just nice to know that at the office, we've got enough hand sanitizer to bath in, I think, at the moment. And there's a little sanitizer stuck to just about every piece of wall and every door and everywhere around the bloody office, you know. So we're taking it all seriously. We've got a bunch of masks been brought in and blah blah blah. It's all geared and ready to go as soon as we're allowed to. Yeah.
Just think, we were on an aeroplane the week before, 3 days before lockdown. We were in France.
Yeah, I know. I saw a photo actually, because one of us took a selfie of the EasyJet plane and how empty it was.
It was. Yeah.
I've never been on an EasyJet plane that empty in my life, and that was just like you say, a few days before the bar came down. But it'll lift. It will lift. You know, come on, eternal optimist and all that. At some point, things will improve and we'll get better. We will get back to life at some point. Yeah. And at the moment, seriously, chin up, chest out, no grumbling, get on with it, make the most of it. And it's funny now, I was talking to one of the guys yesterday, and he was saying to me, oh, I can't wait to get back in the office, can't wait to get back in the office. And I was like, you know, I bet you never ever thought you'd be saying that in your life, that you can't wait to get back to work and you're not going to moan about your commute. So that is kind of funny.
Well, it's great to see, you know, speaking from someone who is in the company, but also someone that can look into the company itself, the way you and the other managers look after the team, like you said, we aren't getting rid of anyone. We're putting things in place to help people when things come back. Things are in place. You've bought new equipment, rolling out new equipment. We're going to have an amazing party at the end of the year. So what would you say to people that want to work at MRL?
Yeah, great. Come and talk to me. Come and talk to me. Don't wait. There's no need waiting until this is all over. Come and talk. Now's a great time to be having initial conversations about this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, honestly, I'm going to say nice things about this company. I own the bloody thing. Of course, I'm going to say nice things. Do your prep. Do your research. Look at Glassdoor. And speak to some other people who either do work here now or possibly have worked here in the past. Get a true picture. But if you're considering changing your options, or you're not happy with how your current employer has supported you through this, come and talk to us. And if you don't like us, no hard feelings. But come and talk to us and see how the options might pan out here versus what your current situation is. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, David, thank you very much for coming on. I'll let you go back to your lonely, echoey office. But hopefully, the next podcast we do, I'm going to get, when we can get closer, we're going to get a few people on. We'll film it all back in the office, so everyone gets a true representation of what it's like to work at MRL.
Good stuff. All right, Billy. Pleasure talking to you and seeing your little face again. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Listeners, we will hear you and see you very, very soon. Thank you.